joined now by John Rathouz. He's a former PGA Caddy, here to talk a little Masters. What's up, John?
What's up, guys? Always nice to make the cut at the Masters. Thanks for having me on.
Well, shoot. Well, unlike our just like our pool today that we're going to have later on after the show, you're our first pick. It was kind of a no-brainer.
I love that. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit more deep research here the last couple of days. It's always a fun week.
There is zero making the cut. We're like, is he going to be our shuffler? Is he Rory? No, he's clearly the fave, isn't he?
Yeah. I think Scheffler's the betting fave.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I guess we could start there. We like low-hanging fruit, John. Coming off the injuries, he says he feels healthy. He doesn't sound great, but it's Scheffler, right? So what are we going to get from him, really? Would you start with Scheffler when you're addressing this field?
Man, we've all kind of got the sniffles this week, don't we? I don't know. It's, he could win at any point. He's shown us that. He's still the best player in the world. Rory's nipping at his heels. He's won twice already this year. Scotty hasn't won yet, the slow start with the injury. So, like when you start looking at the odds of, winning 3 Masters in 4 years, like that really doesn't happen. And so, like, if you just kind of dismiss it that way and say, I don't know if he's going to keep sustaining that level of success, then for me personally, it's okay to not talk about Scotty too much this week. He could go prove us all wrong. I'm more focused on Rory, but that's kind of how I am every year here.
So, John, I heard this little stat about Rory, and you can tell me if it means what I think it means or not, right? So I heard that typically Rory's advantage comes off the tee in terms of where he gains the most strokes. And I believe last year that percentage was 51%. This year it's actually down to 37, I think. Yet he's still leading the tour in driving. Does that mean that he's just gotten that much better everywhere else, or am I reading that wrong?
No, yeah, I saw that same stat, Ravi, and those guys at Live From just crush it. Every night they're really good. I've had Paul McGinley on my podcast, and he does a great job, and so does Brandel and Rich Lerner. And so, I think they're just illustrating there how much more of a complete player that he is now than he used to be. So that's certainly going to come in handy this week, where it's just kind of a true test of everything in your bag, particularly your short game. And I think one interesting thing they made the same point there last year, which is really under the radar, was a little bit news to me because I haven't been following as closely, but he changed his golf ball in the offseason.
Oh, okay.
So he's got a ball that it spins a little bit more, kind of more like a ball Tiger would like to play. And it's kind of forced him to become a better wedge player, which has always been an issue for him in the past. It gives him a little bit more flexibility to move the ball around. So I thought that was kind of a sneaky, cool fact that's contributed to some of his success this year.
John, let me ask you something. It's excuse me. It's rare that in this stage of someone's career that's been as good as Rory without the signature big win since whatever it is, 14 maybe.
Yeah.
That we talk about the mental approach. With Rory, we know it's not talent. So why do you think he gets the benefit of the doubt this late in an already successful career emotionally?
Yeah. That's an interesting question, the way you put it too. Like, he's shown us that he can do it, and he's still winning at a high level. I mean, he won the Players, a month ago, which is, the best field in golf. So he's not just kind of like receded into the background. He's continuing to be dominant, and he kind of seems to like let it kind of fall off his shoulders, but we know that he kind of carries it around at the same time. So that's what's so interesting about this challenge. I think he's up to the task. I think he's still going to win major championships, Damon.
Yep.
I think I would probably like him a little bit more this week if he had already kind of knocked off a major somewhere else. Like if we would hit fast forward to next year and say he goes out and wins the Open Championship this year in Northern Ireland, which would be a heck of a story. And then people would just be like, oh, well, he's going to win Augusta next year. Like, no problem. Like, he's got that off his back. So it makes the task this week that much tougher for him to complete the Grand Slam and stuff. He's working with Bob Rotella on his mental game. He's got his faithful caddy by his side. He seems to be in a good place compared to previous years. So he seems to be the most equipped that he's been to handle this situation. That one with Bryson last summer was real tough on him.
John, as you're sort of handicapping the field, how much value do you put in guys that have done it before or done it recently in terms of majors, but also wins versus, hey, they're finishing top 5, top 10 consistently? I know there's not a huge difference in terms of level of play between, say, a top 5 finish and a win, but it seems like we put a lot of stock in those extra couple spots. Like, how do you see that?
Yeah, it seems like, when you look back over the history of who wins this tournament this week, it often goes to guys that have won in this calendar year. So that is worth a lot. And often got times goes to guys that have played well at Augusta before too. So those are two huge factors. I think a lot of times it's easy to just maybe even do a full calendar year reflection and go look at last year's majors and who finished in the top 10, and then maybe cash to win in some other tournament along the way. And those are the guys that really show up with a ton of confidence. So I like to reflect back to last year's majors, see who finished in the top 10, top 5, maybe even it's a guy that hasn't won a major before and then has some wins under his belt or a win under his belt in the last calendar year. Even better if you've done it in the spring and you're coming in, kind of starting to peak. So those are all important in terms of putting on the green jacket this week.
He's been up and down. I could be in the middle of the pack with a pick, but Victor Hovland is a guy that comes up quite a bit. He just won at Valspar. He missed 3 consecutive cuts before that, and I think at AT&T he was a top 25. When you look at the calendar year, the start in his game, is that anybody that you would kind of take a look at? And listen, it's 7-8 guys making picks. There's golfers. You get a long shot at. Is Hovland a guy that you would take a look at
he wasn't on my radar as much, and I don't think he was on anybody's radar, really for the year until he kind of came out of nowhere and won, which he's capable of doing. He's one of the best players in the world. I think, his weakness, lies in the things that Augusta rewards the most, right? And we've seen some examples in the past of guys that maybe aren't the best putters winning here because they just rely on their ball striking and their short game. And the thing with the knock on Victor is that the short game is not world class and it's a little bit inconsistent. And so you can get away with that for 2-3 rounds, but you get a dicey chip on a Sunday afternoon with the Masters on the line, are you going to be able to kind of knock it up in there to tap in range or give yourself a good look? So I think that's the problem, with a guy like Victor. Now he could come out hitting the ball amazing and have a good week with the putter and run away with the thing. Now I think that would be the scenario for him. So I'm not as high on him this week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get in the mix.
These two yahoos are going to laugh at me because I went back to the well. And it's not because my sister was a Cal Berkeley professor at one point either. Do I go back to the Colin well?
Yeah. I think you should. I mean, he's playing as good as anyone right now, and he has played as good as anyone in this tournament the last 3 years. So
putting. So you scared me again.
I talked about putting.
Yeah. Well, with regards to Hovland, and I know sometimes with him it's the blade down the stretch, and it's like, come on, just help me out here, Colin.
There's some interesting guys though, Damon, that like for whatever reason they show up at the Masters and they vibe with the greens. There's another guy that's kind of deeper down that list, like a Corey Connors. Like he's not a great putter, and he's got a feel for this place for whatever reason, and he's a tournament winner. He should be on your radar. So I think Colin knows how to handle these greens this week, and so I think he's a great pick. I mean, obviously there's other people on him, and like he's one of the top like 4 favorites. So in terms of a return on your investment, that's not going to be as significant, but I definitely could see him winning.
John, as you kind of look at the field and you see who people are talking about and who people are high on, who's a guy that you think their game fits Augusta that isn't getting a lot of run right now?
I mean, the one for me is Justin Thomas. And he's a ball striker. He's got an amazing short game. So he's the one that kind of wasn't really on my radar a lot heading into this. And then when I kind of started looking at, some of the trends and possibilities, he really popped. he hasn't won this year. He's been knocking on the door. He finished second at that Valspar, so he doesn't have that calendar year win. But man, is he playing good? Interesting storyline with him this week is like his caddy, the Reverend Matt Minister, great caddy, spent a long time with Patrick Cantley, injured his back on Monday. And so he says, "Hey, man, I can't do it this week." So what does JT do? But he picks up the phone and calls the guy that's best friends with Max Homa that just spent 10 years with him, and they just parted ways. And now Joe Griner comes out of the bullpen on a Monday to start caddying for Justin Thomas this week. So that's an interesting little caddy storyline to keep an eye on as the week unfolds.
John, let me ask you something, especially with regards to JT's personality, because I think he only has the PGA under his belt in terms of when.
He's got two. He's got a PGA, maybe two PGAs. I know he's got two majors because he won it. Where up in Wisconsin, I think, and then he also won at Southern Hills,
17 and 22. So
yeah.
Okay, so along those lines, is it good? I've got a producer over here that brought up Justin Thomas yesterday, and I kind of gave him this smile, like I don't even know how much Justin enjoys the moment sometimes, because you feel like when you watch his game, you listen to his personality, he apparently works pretty hard at his craft. Does a new caddy maybe, I don't know, lighten the load a little for how his game fits Augusta, and maybe if he feels pressure or no?
Yeah, I think what it does usually, especially when the caddy knows what he's doing, is he'll know when to step in, Joe, if he needs him. And if JT asks a question, he's going to have an answer because he's got some experience around there. So he knows his personality. So those are all great things. But what it does for Justin is it kind of puts the onus back on him. He has to take ownership of the situation, and it's like not in a way like he's forced to do it, but like it works. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, hey man, you're the golfer. You're the one hitting the shots. You actually know what you're doing. You've got the goods. You don't need to like lean on your caddy as much. It's on you. And sometimes that brings out the best in guys.
John, I've always been curious with your background as a caddy and just sort of your relationship to the golf world. Like, how do you watch the Masters? How is that different from me and DB sitting down on the couch over the weekend and watching that? Like, how do you consume that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Like I always tell people, if you get a chance to go, that's amazing, and you go, right, and that changes your viewing experience when you then watch it on TV the next time. So that's one factor for people that have had the opportunity to go. Makes the golf course and kind of the picture comes together. So that's something that I have going. I do enjoy watching, the strategy of things, and that's kind of how I watch it. But I'm like anybody else, like, as a fan, there's players and caddies that would love to be there this week that aren't. And that's the one where you kind of just sit back and you just go like, this is really fun to watch. So that's how I watch it. I really do study it still. I've been there one time caddying. It's been 16 years now. And you never know when you might get a phone call or get a chance to get there again. But at the same time, it's like, I just like to kind of amass information on that place. I just find it kind of like a nice little audit of a college course for myself.
So I'm looking at, part of the picks we get is anybody that's 60-1 or greater.
Yeah.
As a long shot. Does Justin does Dustin Johnson have one of these in him where he's just kind of hanging around towards the weekend?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They've been
very
kind of
convincing. I'll move on.
No. Yeah, it's just like he hasn't been competitive on the live. So, for him to kind of all of a sudden pop, I would be more inclined to think that Phil would have a better chance than Dustin at the moment.
And
Phil's been playing pretty good the last like month, and he can get going at any point. But that doesn't seem overly reliable either.
Are you in on the Sepp Strack? Are you in on that, Buzz?
I am. I'm on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. He's been playing really good the last year. His ball striking numbers are off the charts. Experienced caddy. He's played well there before. Only one Masters under his belt, but a 16th to go, and he seems to have the nuts if it gets up against it where he's going to be like, okay, it's my week. Now, is it a slam dunk? No, but in terms of guy coming in playing good, I like it.
You like either of the Cams, Smith or Young?
I was intrigued by Smith just because of his record here, but then you look at his form and some of the things that he also needs, like a ball striking sort of thing, don't seem to be there at the moment. So he could kind of fake it around there for a couple days, probably.
Faking at Augusta. I
Right.
tell you, I only have the talent.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know. Some other guys, I kind of like always romanticize about Tommy Fleetwood winning a Masters. Butch Harmon's been in his camp for the last 2.5 years. He picked him this year. Of course, he's going to try to pump his guy up, but he's got a good record there. I think Russell Henley's interesting, but another guy that doesn't close at a high rate, but got a win recently. I think Bobby McIntyre is interesting
On him.
Yeah, he's been playing at a super high level and has won a couple times. He's a lefty. Lefties seem to like it. I saw Johnson Wagner was really excited about Akshay this week, which was like, whoa. And he just finished third at the Players and putts and chips the ball well. So that's interesting. And you never know when a guy like Patrick Cantlay will finally put it together. I kind of was on him more to be in the mix. Now there's some first timers like a JJ Spawn played well here in his debut, and Thomas Dietrich is teeing it up for the first time at Augusta. He's been a factor in majors already in his career. So those were kind of some of the guys that jumped off the list at me.
If you generally speaking, if you're going to cap a field and you only get a couple of adjectives, are you taking talent or temperament?
Yeah. Well, I would say talent. Yeah. I mean, you're it's just a lot more easy to like look at who's going to actually possibly be in the mix based on talent, and then of those guys, who's got the temperament to get it done.
I know a lot of people like Russell Henley as the dark horse.
Yeah. The luck broke his way finally. Like, I think if you look at him statistically, like, people are like, you can't be that unlucky. He's putting so well right now. His caddy is a tremendous putter himself. Good caddy, had a major win with Jimmy Walker. Like, they're really vibing right now. But gosh, Damon, like, you love to study that. Ravi, you too. Like, when you get on the back nine and you start, thinking about the responsibility of putting that jacket on and pushing that trophy up in the air and all that comes with it, like some
That's why
dudes can't handle it.
Temperament.
I know.
It's something happens on Sundays in the afternoon.
John,
yeah.
There's a guy that's been talked about a lot. His odds are pretty good. We haven't mentioned him yet here today.
Bryson?
Ludwig Oberg.
Oh.
Where is he at for you, and what are his chances? Because he's minus money to make top 20. He's he's under 20-1 odds to win the thing. How do you feel about Ludwig?
Yeah, I mean, he came out and finished second in his debut last year, and he's gonna win a Masters in his career. Absolutely, like that guy's so good, and his temperament is amazing, isn't it? Like just how he views things and handles things, and obviously he's a young guy that doesn't have any scar tissue yet, so this is the time to get cooking. He's been a little inconsistent this year, so I think that's where people maybe wouldn't like quite have him as high on their radar, but wouldn't surprise me one bit for sure.
All right, who you going with, John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Rory, and I'm gonna go JT. Those will be my two ride or dies this week.
Got a
to
dark?
get it done. Yeah, dark horse. That's a little further down the board. That I think actually would be okay with the situation on Sunday. I'll say Corey Connors.
Was it right to have this conversation and not talk about Schauffele?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, he did have some amazing ball striking numbers at Valspar, I believe. And he admittedly is like, "Hey, I'm inconsistent right now. I'm coming back from this injury." But that was nice to see. And then his putter's been his weak point, which is normally his strong point. So he's a guy that could sneak in there and be like, he's another guy that probably will win a Masters in his career. So
I'm gonna have to get over my love fest with him because he's my favorite non-Tiger golfer. But
Oh, it's a great one to like,
I almost
Damon.
picked Jason Day because
Oh, J Day. I
yeah,
got his Malbon hat on right now, man. He's
I'm
styling walking down the
I'm checking
fairways. I'll be
it
excited
out.
to see what he's wearing this week. But
He hasn't played. He's been okay. I'm just thinking, God, do I give him one more shot? I
yeah,
don't think he can hold up over 4 days.
that's the thing. Like, if you go look at these guys' records, and they're amazing records, right? Top tens, top fives. His kind of like bleeds out a little bit more recently. Like, you look at like times that they've actually broken 70 and stuff like that, and how they've like put their tournaments together. Like, hey, I backdoored a top 10 versus like I had a chance to win. Like, those are the trends that I feel like usually continue. And someone might knock a hole in Rory and be like, well, why are you picking Rory then? So I think Rory's at a different point in his career. Jason's a little older. He's still highly competitive, really good, having a decent go of it the last year or so. So he can definitely be a factor. But like you, same thing for like Justin Rose, right? And Jason Day. He's a little bit older, but it's like always shows up. Is he going to get it done? And it's like maybe it's not in the cards. So it's probably easier for me, like when I'm looking at that, like I'm with you. It's like, oh, why not J Day? Like it's easier for me to get off that train these days than it is to stay on it.
That's John Rathouz, former PGA Caddy. Podcast quiet, please. John, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks,
Yeah,
John.
you too. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I think it's time that we make our Masters picks.
Okay, sure.
You ready to draft?
I am.
All right.
I just don't know how you wanted to do the order.
Well,
Last
so
time we crumpled up paper.
I have a number between one. I'll go third. I'm volunteering.
Well, you want to go back to back.
Oh, are we doing Serpentine?
Yeah.
I'll let you pick then. Okay. So Shane and DB, I've got a number between 1 and 20 in my head. DB, what's the number?
17.
That's funny. I was going to say 17.
Shane, what's your number?
17, but I'll change it
You
to
have to change a different number.
8.
Shane is closer. Do you want to go first, second, or third?
I just would have said 16 if I were him.
Yeah.
I want to go first.
You want to go first? DB, what do you want?
I'll take 2 to stay in the middle.
Okay. I will go 3 then. So, Shano, you are up. Who is your number 1 draft pick in our Masters draft?
I'll go with Scotty.
Scotty Scheffler.
Yes, please.
Staying chalky on the first pick.
I don't mind that.
I don't either. It wasn't a hater. It's just that's the betting favorite. That's a smart pick.
Shane, that's a smart pick.
Who are you going?
I like it a lot.
Who are you going with the deuce?
I'm going to take Colin Kawa.
That's a great pick.
Okay. I appreciate you leaving my guy for me.
I wanted you to have him because he's going to drive you crazy on Sunday.
Rory?
Yes.
I am taking Rory McIlroy with the 3rd pick. My 2nd pick here is going to be Jon Rahm.
Wow, nice pull.
That's the guy I said yesterday I thought was going to win it. I'm going Jon Rahm here.
You get both your guys.
I do, yeah.
Do you feel good about that?
I do feel good about it.
Okay.
So
Has anybody ever won it 3 times in 6 years?
3 and 6, yes, I think. I'm sure Tiger had 3 and 6 at some point. I don't.
That's if he does, that's legendary right there.
Yeah, it would. It'd be legendary status. DB, who's your 2nd pick?
I hate to do this to Shane. I'm going to take Justin Thomas.
Ooh.
Oh,
He sounds. Oh no.
no.
Shane, who is your 2nd pick?
I'm going to go with Cameron Smith.
Cam Smith.
Wow,
Okay.
Really? Off the grid?
Wow.
That's not really off the grid.
But his average finish is off the grid.
I see you.
It is off a grid for sure.
I see you, Shane.
All right, DB, back to you.
Shane goes again.
Oh yeah, Shane, you've got your. I apologize, Shane. You got your double pick here.
So Colin's been picked, correct?
Yep.
Dickey.
You going with Matsuyama?
Yeah.
All righty. Not Matsui, former Yankee great. Matsuyama.
Yes.
So it's 4 picks and 1 long shot, right?
3 picks in a long shot. So 4 total. So you've got.
I don't know if that's enough.
You want to do 4 in a long shot?
Kinda.
All right, that's fine. Let's do it.
I kind of thought that's what it was.
Okay, 4 in a long shot.
But I could have said it wrong.
This is your game, so 4 in a long shot. So you got 2 more regulars left.
I'm gonna I'm gonna take Patrick Cantlay.
Ooh, okay. That was a guy that John seemed high on.
I'm gonna take
in
Cantlay.
Cantlay. You know who I'm going with?
Who?
Ludwig.
Oh, Aberg.
Yep, Ludwig Oberg. I believe with the umlaut above it, it's pronounced as
Oh,
Oberg.
yeah, correct.
All right, it is back to me once again. So this will be my final normal pick.
Correct. I like your squad.
I kind of do too.
I think you're boom or bust with Rom though.
Probably. Yeah, I'm taking a shot there at a guy I think can win it. You know, I'm a little swayed.
Don't do it, please.
Do it.
I'm a little swayed here.
Don't do
Like
it.
blue suede.
Blue suede shoes.
Don't
Yeah.
do it.
I'm gonna go with the guy that John put us on to.
Bryson.
I'm going Corey Connors.
That's not bad. A lot of people like him as a dark horse.
So he's not quite in our dark
I know,
horse category.
and a lot of people have him.
He's at 50-1. Our cutoff is 60-1. So I'm going to take him as a regular pick because John seemed convinced that he had a real shot here this weekend.
Okay.
So this is you, Damon. This is your last regular.
So
regular guy.
I'm torn here.
Okay.
Between Will Zalatoris
Okay, great name.
and Brooks Koepka.
So Koepka was the other guy I was thinking about.
I didn't want you to take Koepka.
That was the
So
other guy I
are
was
we
thinking of.
really going to do this and nobody takes Brooks or Bryson?
I don't like Bryson that much,
I can't cheer for him either.
so I wasn't going to cheer for him, so I didn't pick him. I did almost pick Brooks over Connors, but my fellow type 1 diabetic, John Rathouz, he swayed me.
Because Will just misses the long shot. He's 55-1.
See, that's where I'm at with Connors, is I'm right on that line. I've actually got Will at 50-1. You going? Zalatoris is a great name. If you're going off of vibes, Zalatoris is great vibes.
Because
But Koepka's got the pedigree.
JB and Casey is my boy, I'm rolling with Will.
Will Zalatoris.
I am actually not going to take Brooks Koepka. This is crazy. Crazy. This is crazy.
Shane is the last one that has a chance to take Koepka.
I don't want any of the B's.
No Bryson, no Brooks.
No BS there.
Who are you taking?
Is there anybody that's off the board that I missed? Because I don't want to say a name, and if somebody's been
No,
injured
so this is it. So you get this pick is safe.
But I mean,
it's protected because the only other picks we have left are the long shots.
So but there's nobody that's
There shouldn't be anybody listed on the odds that's not going to play.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll take
Tommy
Xander.
Fleetwood.
No, well that would have been if I was going one more, it would be I'll go Xander.
Xander Schauffele for Shano.
See, I let John talk me off of him.
Yeah. I should have taken Koepka instead of Connors, but I let John talk me into Connors.
All right, we're blaming this on old Rathouz.
All right, Shane, this is your long shot pick.
Oh dang! So what's the cutoff again?
60-1.
60-1. So I could have waited on Cameron, but I wanted Cameron.
You got Cam right at 60-1, right?
Yeah, so you could have waited on him, but you're out here.
I wanted him.
So on mine, I've got Cam Smith at 50-1 for what it's worth. So
all right, if there's a discrepancy, we'll figure it out.
yeah, I'm not gonna be real uptight about it. But
Okay, I'll go with Tony.
I like
Finau?
it. I like it.
big Finau guy. All right, DB, last pick, your long shot.
Straka.
My guy Sepp.
Yep.
How dare you? Okay. Listen, that's kind of who
I didn't. I was gonna take Jason Day.
I know that's your guy.
It is,
but
and he and Sepp have the same odds.
I was kind of looking at. So you brought up Dustin Johnson to John. He kind of talked me off of that one. I think I'm gonna go. Am I crazy if I go Wyndham Clark here?
No, that's a good pull.
I think I'm going to go Wyndham Clark here.
That's a good pull.
That's going to be my wild card.
And for the record,
at
that's the first time I've given in to peer pressure in quite some time.
Yeah?
And he didn't even really pressure me. I just know he likes Will. And plus, it gives us a similar rooting interest.
So here are the squads. DB has Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Will Zalatoris, and Sepp Straka. Shane has Scotty Scheffler, Cam Smith, Hideki, Xander Schauffele, and Tony Finau. I've got Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Oberg, Corey Connors, and Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, that's
I think we've all got good squads here.
tough. We all have picks, and again, there's 15 guys represented.
And none of them are Brooks Koepka or Bryson DeChambeau.
No Bryson, no Hatton,
Yeah.
no Brooks.
And I know like he's not playing that well right now, but part of me is like, we're just gonna pretend like Jordan Spieth's not out there.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like that's hard. Like,
But if I was gonna take a guy in that range,
Yeah.
I don't know.
it's tough.
It is.
It's tough
If
out
if I was gonna go in the
Spieth range.
yeah, it wouldn't have been Spieth. I would have taken Fleetwood or Shane Lowry.
You do like Tommy Fleetwood.
I like Tommy Fleetwood a lot.
A lot of people in the chat were on Tommy Fleetwood as well. So those are the teams. We'll do an aggregate scoring.
I like Fleet. So how are we doing if they don't make the cut? Do you want to pick an arbitrary number that they're assessed because you won't get a chance to gain those strokes, or you could just be penalized because they don't make the cut?
Penalized how much? Or do you just want to call it par? Like you get 72 for both rounds if we're not making the cut.
I like just having the extra guy out there, like the fourth guy.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
So if one of your guys doesn't make it, your fourth guy comes in.
No, all of them count.
All of them count.
All of them count.
But you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah. All of them.
All of them count. You just don't get if guys don't make the cut, you're short 2 days of getting
of strokes.
Yeah, you're pretty much screwed.
But I mean, if we count it as par, it's the same thing, because you'd be at 0 for strokes anyway. So I think you're just out of luck if they don't make the cut. You made a bad pick.
Was out of luck?
Yeah, we're out here, right?
Was everybody like that? I need somebody smarter than us.
I think it makes sense.
All right, if you want to roll with it.
If you didn't make the cut, like you should get penalized for it, for making the pick of a guy who didn't make the cut.
All right, Tuffy.
If a guy gets, medically retires or has to call it.
I used to be friends with a kid named Tuffy.
Tuffy?
Tuffy Sainsbury.
Was that his real name?
I think his real name was Steve.
So not Tuffy.
Steven, but everybody called him Tuffy.
Like Coco Crisp?
Yeah.
Covelli?
All right, let's see what Corey says. All right, somebody smarter. Let's see. Corey says, Shane, put that in bold. You know I can't read. There it is. Thank you. A lot of people give you the low score for the day for any player that didn't make the cut. That's what Ken says, too.
What does that mean?
Okay. So the low score for the day. Like
of who, though? So, like, if I have, let's say, for me.
So let's say,
like, let's say John.
JB's like, if your guy doesn't make the cut, you score 75.
I don't like that. That's too much.
Well, that's a heavy. Geez, JB.
I think you just don't get the opportunity to win any strokes back.
So I think Corey's saying, like, let's say if somebody shoots, 84 on. I think he's saying if somebody shoots like an 84 on Saturday.
Oh, okay. So, sorry. When he said low score, I was thinking low, like good.
Yeah.
As opposed to worst.
Yeah, I think he's
You're saying the worst score of the day.
Corey, can you confirm or deny if that's...
I don't like that. That seems overly...
penalized?
Yeah, that seems overly penalizing.
Well, you were the Mr. Big Balls. Oh, I think you just don't get the strokes.
Well,
but you don't want to be hurt by it?
Well, no. I mean, there's a difference between not getting the opportunity to improve and getting overly penalized.
Yeah, he's talking about... Yep, Corey's right. He's talking about worst score.
I don't know. I don't like that. That's aggressive. That's aggressive.
You would get smoked. You could be out of it in a hurry.
Yeah, if
you had the winning golfer.
If one guy doesn't make the cut and your other 4 guys finish in the top 10, you still might lose. So it seems overly penalizing. You know what I mean?
But you're also not really penalized for because you're not inheriting the bad too without the guy being out there on the course.
Yeah, that's why I just you just don't get the opportunity either way. Like, if a guy misses the cut, there's no chance for you to gain strokes there.
Well, somebody's missing the cut. I mean, you got that many players, I guarantee you at least
100%.
Out of our
you think of our 15, all 15 guys aren't making the cut.
Out of our 15, someone's missing the cut.
At least 1, 2, maybe even 3.
I don't know. Are they?
3 guys seems aggressive. Somebody's missing the cut out of our group, but 3 guys.
Now, this is definitely something JB would say.
What do you say?
Now, my 3 strokes doesn't sound so bad.
He's not wrong. Maybe we land on 75.
I'll take it.
75?
Yeah.
Okay, that seems fair.
I'll take it.
So any golfer that gets cut, their Saturday,
because
Sundays,
what if there's tough you want there to be some inherent risk to not picking the right guy.
Fair. So
It's flickering.
Anybody that does not make the cut, their Saturday, Sunday, you get 150 total.
Yep.
All
I'll
right.
take it.
Tacked on.
I'm in. So let it be written, so let it be done.
Let's ride.